What's going on, guys? Hopefully you guys are seeing this and hearing this. I'm going to now get this link in the membership area. So if you're watching this on playback, go ahead and skip a few minutes because this is going to be the boring part where I wait for people to show up. Looks like we're good to go there. Go ahead and save, and you guys should now be seeing the live button at the top of the page. I'm going to wait to see if a few of you guys show up here. I think it should work. So I'm going to also try today to speak a little quieter because by the end of these things, usually after an hour, my voice is gone. And I think it's because I talk so loud, and I think I need to talk really, really loud. And I don't have to because I have a microphone right in front of me. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more mellow today. Looks like I have at least one or two of you guys watching. So if you guys could put something in the chat room, just let me know that you guys can hear me, can see me, everything's working great. I want to make sure that we are smooth sailing before we go ahead and start answering questions. So can you see and hear me? And I want to make sure that this chat room obviously works as well. I want to make sure that people are actually able to put your questions in the chat there. And we still have a few minutes before we hit 9 a.m. So again, skip ahead a few minutes if you are watching this on playback. This is going to be kind of a boring wait. David, you can see me. All right, great. Good morning, ma'am. So at least one of you guys were able to watch it. Hopefully the button is working well. I closed my door because I'm hearing somebody weed whack right next door, and that's kind of distracting. All right. So, yeah, looks like we got a couple more of you guys logged in, which is great. Working out well. Michael Jones, glad you made it, man. I do apologize, guys. Last month, I couldn't figure out how to do this YouTube thing in an unlisted private manner. I just was not able to figure that out, and I should have done it before we went live. It's totally my bad. So as a last minute resort, I went to Twitch because I have a Twitch account, and I knew that you could do a live stream with Twitch. That was the only other service that I had an active account for. So we did it on Twitch for the live session. It worked. And then I posted the playback, and for about a week or two, it was great. And then suddenly the video disappeared. And one of you guys brought it to my attention that the live Q&A was no longer available for playback in the membership area. So I went to Twitch and found out that they actually only host your previously recorded live broadcast for like a couple of weeks, and then they just delete the video, which I wasn't aware of. I thought it was like YouTube, you just kept your stuff on your channel. So I do apologize, guys. That live Q&A is gone forever. It is not, I didn't record it. Twitch does not have it in their database, so that thing is just gone. So I do apologize. This one, that will not happen to, okay? Because YouTube does keep all of your live broadcasts for later. So I will be posting this in the membership area afterwards, okay? And from now on, we're going to do it this way, and it should always be there for you guys to watch. So I do apologize. Hopefully you guys were able to catch that for the first week or two after we did that. But that live Q&A, unfortunately, has just vanished into the ether. It will not come back, which is a shame because there was a lot of great questions in that live Q&A, and I'm really sad that we missed and lost all that great content. But I know a lot of you guys were there, and you asked your great questions, and at least a lot of you were able to watch the playback before it was ultimately deleted. So now that we're at 9 a.m. Pacific time, we have about 4 or 5 of you guys in here. Please post any of your questions into the chat. Okay, I'm going to stick around for about an hour till about 10 a.m. Pacific time. And for this hour, I am at your disposal. So you ask me any questions you have about the licensing industry, something specific about your experience, submitting to a library, anything going on in SyncEdge, any of that good stuff. We are just around the corner from October 1st, so there will be 2 new libraries that get posted here in the membership area on the 1st, usually, again, by the end of the day. I don't do it in the beginning of the day. I have other things I have to do. But by the end of the day, you should see them show up around 4 or 5 p.m., sometimes a little bit later. So be sure that you tune in and log into your account always on the 1st to just kind of be one of the first producers to get your hands on it, see if it's going to be a genre that it will be a good fit for you, and whether or not you should actually submit to the given catalog and library that I'm requesting or that I'm recommending for you guys. No questions yet? Come on, guys. Don't be shy. Post your questions in the chat, please. Dan Mack, what's up, man? Good morning to you. Yeah, so while you guys get your questions together, I'm going to go heat up my coffee. I have about 1/8 of a cup left. So I'm going to go heat that up. And by the time I get back, hopefully you guys have a couple of questions for me in the chat. There were a couple email questions, and I'll have to remember what those were, though. But if you guys have questions and you email them to me, I usually just say, well, log in for the live Q&A. I'll get them there. Sometimes if I can remember them, I'll try to bring them up. But sometimes I get so many of those that it's like, hey, that's why we have this live Q&A. You guys come all at once. I give you all the answers all at once, and it's in one video. And the reason why I like to do it this way is because this is now going to be available for everybody in the membership area, right? So not just for you and me and our little private email, but if you have a question, it's likely there's 5 or 10 other producers that have the exact same question. And I like to keep this as public as possible, or at least within the membership area as possible, so that everybody gets the benefit of getting that answer. Just make sure that we help each other out much more, right? And it's not just a one-on-one kind of a thing, but that everybody can have benefit to that answer. It's just the most efficient way to do it. So, all right, we got a couple of questions. Great. Let me go heat up my coffee. Keep them coming, guys. Put your questions in the chat. All right. Dan Mack, you're the only one asking questions. All right, you're the only one getting answers then. So how big is my catalog? Right now, if you go to my BMI catalog, you can see actually online. I'll actually get that for you guys. Hold on. I know I can get that for you right now. Show you guys. I mean, I don't do this to intimidate or freak you guys out, but you know, a lot of times people do ask like, what do you do? Like, what are your music catalogs looking like and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to show you the link here. I'll put it right in the chat. So it looks like I have 3,204 titles right now to my name. Now, that doesn't mean that I've composed 3,204 tracks. My BMI catalog. Because a lot of those are alt mixes. I don't know if that, yeah, that should work for you guys. It's alt mixes, it's alt versions, it's all that kind of stuff. 30-second mixes, those each count as their own registration. So if you total up all my actual compositions, I'm probably around 1,000 tracks, maybe a little bit over. And not all of them I created alt mixes for and all that kind of stuff, because some of the stuff I did earlier on in my career, I sent to catalogs that didn't want that stuff. So there's a bunch of different sort of variations in there. But yeah, I'd say around 1,000 tracks is what I've composed in my career up to this point, which is a lot of music. But remember, I've been in this for 10 years. So you get up to that point once you do this every day for 10 years, you start to see those kind of numbers sort of stack up. So next question was, once a track gets placed, how long does it take? How long does this track get paid for that single placement? Once a track gets placed, how long does this track get paid for? Gets paid for. Okay, there's something weird grammatically going on there. The single placements in your experience. If you're talking about like how much does one track get paid, there's a range of that. So sometimes it can be cents, like literally 2 cents, 3 cents. It can go up to tens of thousands of dollars. Literally, there is no sort of like, here's the standard kind of a placement. What I do say for you guys, what you should be shooting for is an average placement of $25 to $50 a placement. So that means that like maybe some placements are $5, $10, but others are 100, 150, 175. Then at the end of the day, if you average all those together, if you can hit a minimum of 25, you're doing awesome. Okay, $25 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you stack up enough $25 checks in a row, that adds up really quickly, especially if you have a large catalog out there. You're working with maybe 3 different libraries, and they're all getting you guys placements. So I say shoot for an average of $25 to $50 per track placement. In the beginning, it's going to take a while for you to get up to that point. But if you're getting a lot of placements with one catalog, and you know those placements are small little amounts of like, you know, pennies, might think about going with another library, because you want to start getting into those placements that are at least $20, $30 per track placement. Okay. So again, I've gotten one. It was, I think it was 9 seconds, and I got $1,700 for it. It was on a news promo, years ago. This was like 6, 7 years ago. So those do exist, and those are out there, and they do get you placed that much every time that one goes to air. But that's not every single track. Obviously, those are sort of like the stars in your catalog that do really well. For the average, most of us are going to be doing mostly background instrumental cues, and you're not going to be getting those huge amounts. You'll get smaller amounts, but shoot for 25 to 50. Dan also is asking, in my experience, how many placements does each library get you in a month? That's hard. I have never broken it down by month, because I always go by quarters. And I don't necessarily look at how many placements I get. I actually more think about how much money do I make with that library, right? So like I said, you could get one library that gets you 10,000 placements in a quarter, but each one of those placements is 2 cents. So you're not making much money. Now you get another library that only gets you 10 placements, but each one of those gets you $400, right? $500 each placement. Who do you want to stick with? The one that's getting tons of placements of like nothing, or a few placements of a lot? At the end of the day, what you really care about is your money, right? You care about what the royalty check looks like. So what I always like to do is I like to compare really who's putting more money in my pocket. That's really what it comes down to. And that should be what it comes down to you guys as well. So always base it on that. It's not necessarily how many placements, but like I said, there is no average on that. Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's a little. Even sometimes those libraries that I work with that get me hundreds of placements every single quarter, sometimes they have a slow quarter, and I only have, maybe a dozen or 2 dozen or something. So it slows down, it gets big. I don't know if I've gotten those exact specific numbers yet, so I don't know if I could help you out with that one. Royalties from Europe take more time to get paid. Yes, because obviously there's going to be a collection time for that to come around. So that's when you have foreign PROs reporting to ASCAP and BMI PROs. And that's why usually, especially when you're with ASCAP, your international royalties will come about a quarter later, I believe, from where it is with your domestic royalties. So yeah, you're going to see a little bit of a delay with the stuff that you get from overseas. And the thing with overseas, which is kind of a little bit frustrating, but it's the way it is. There's not a lot you can do about it. They just basically give you a sort of, here you go, here's how much money or how much music of yours we used. Here's your royalties. But the specifics of it aren't really given over. A lot of that stuff is not very transparent. So, it sucks, but in some ways it's like, hey, at least you have an avenue to be making money in international outlets. So you sort of don't want to bite the hand that feeds too much. But in the future, hopefully they start to make that a little bit more transparent, so we can see exactly what's happening in these countries. Because literally you'll just get, Taiwan, $50. Why? They just give you that kind of money, right? Sometimes they'll give you the actual, like, here's the track titles, the music that was actually made, which is great, but you don't know which TV show it was placed in. You don't know where it was used. So that kind of stuff gets a little bit frustrating, because you just hope they're telling the truth. And most people, who knows if they really are or not. But Michael asks, is it good to send alt mixes or stems up front, or should they be mentioned or offered in the message in the email? I guess, are they something worth having prepared in advance? Usually I would just say in your initial email to libraries, just tell them that you're happy to present your alt mixes and stems based on what their recommendations are, because a lot of times they won't even put that on their website. So just say that you're aware that might be needed and you're prepared and ready to do it. That's how I got some of our syndicate music into some of the libraries that we work with now, is I let them know, here's our, basically a demo of our 15 tracks that I want to show to you. And these stems and alt mixes can be delivered to you, and metadata in any format you need ASAP. And they are exclusively available to be licensed. So yeah, just let them know that you're aware, and you can put those out together for them right away. I wouldn't send it to them with your submission, because you might not have the right format. Maybe they want waves or AIFs, 24-bit, 16-bit, certain kinds of alt mixes. You don't want to sort of guess what they want. And then when they say, thanks, but we need completely separate formatting, you just wasted your time. So I would just tell them you're available to do it whenever, in whatever format they need, So Kevin asks, he sent a library an email using the email template. That's the one with the music library directory. He followed SyncEdge to a T. He told me to contact him again in 6 weeks. Is this sincere, or should I send them to someone else? I mean, you're asking me, is he being honest? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's telling you 6 weeks because he's just trying to blow you off, or he's literally, did he give you any reason? Did he say, hey, we're really bogged down with a bunch of projects, or in 6 weeks, we're going to be open to new writers? I can't tell you what his real intentions are, but if he's telling you, I can't deal with you for 6 weeks, depends. I mean, do you want to, is this library worth waiting 6 weeks of your career for? If it is, it might be yes. I'm not saying it's no, but if it is yes, then yeah, just hang on, keep producing music, make more music. And then in 6 weeks, reach out, give him maybe just a week at that point. And if he says, you know, he blows you off or is not interested, okay, then move on to somebody else. If you feel that there's another library that you can be just as valuable for, then no, I wouldn't be waiting for 6 weeks for somebody. I'd say, all right, well, thanks for the consideration. Go for another library, and maybe in 6 weeks, come back to him with other music that you've composed between now and then. 6 weeks is enough. You can put together a full album in 6 weeks if you really, you know, work your butt off and get like 12, maybe 10 or 12 tracks completed in six weeks. Maybe they'll be even stronger than what you have now, and then you can approach them then. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could tell you. Yeah, they're being honest with you. I have no idea, right? I can't read people's minds. So would I recommend sending to all 5 to 10 libraries at once or one at a time? No, definitely do not be spamming 5 to 10 libraries at once. Okay. If you've learned anything from me, it is to have custom specific tailored pitches to one library at a time. See if they're going to get back to you. Give them a week or two. If they don't get back to you, move on to the second one. You don't want to send to all of them and burn your bridges with all the ones that you can't submit to, because now you have 4 or 5 different libraries wanting the music from you. And you have to say, well, sorry, I kind of now committed to other companies. Looks really bad for you. They're going to basically write you off. It's kind of a flake, and they're not going to want to deal with you. So you're going to be burning bridges before you even get into the business doing it that way. Do not do that. Brian, what's up, buddy? Brian is one of my success stories. Brian actually got accepted by 1 or maybe 2 actually of the libraries that he was in here. So good to see you back in here, man. What is the average time one placement gets paid? Is it paid for 1 year, 2 years, 1 month? Again, you're asking about averages. I mean, there is no real average. I mean, sometimes you get one song placed on one TV show that never airs again. Other times you get a theme song and it gets aired over and over and over again for years, right? So there is no average in this business. It's just either short times or long times that get played over and over again. It's obvious that most libraries have tons of tunes, which makes me curious as to how tunes are chosen or pitched to production companies. I assume that some production companies go and shop. Yeah, so basically it stems from the relationships that the music libraries have with their clients. So their clients will literally come to them and say, hey, we're putting together this promo, sports promo. We need some high energy EDM music. What do you got? And sometimes they'll want to go themselves searching through the catalog and preview it and decide to just download what they want. Other times the library itself will have its own, you know, the CEO or the employees go through, select a little playlist for them and put it out to them. Say, here's what we recommend for you. Here's our top 5, 6 tracks. That's why you want to have good relationships and be one of the inner circle people in the library's catalog, because guess who they're going to go to first? If you're their high energy EDM person and you're the one that's always hungry, always submitting, and you've built a great brand with them, they're going to throw you in front. They're going to put you on that playlist. They're going to know that you're the go-to person that can deliver any alterations if need be, any alt mixes, any customizations. They're the ones, they know that you're the one that they should go to. That's why you want to have a really good reputation. So Rice Beach. I think that's you, Ryan. Isn't that you? If you notice that a library specializes in a certain genre, do you think it might be smart to sometimes approach them with music different genres that they don't typically have? I don't recommend that, only because the reason why they probably have the genres that you're seeing is because they get that place. So, you know, if you don't see any, you know, horror kind of scary sounding music and you think, well, they don't have any of that, let me submit it to them. Might be a reason why they don't have any of that music. They might not have any clients that need that kind of music. So you're taking a risk. You can give it a shot, but usually you want to see something that they have maybe little of, and you can sort of beef up their supply of it, or whatever they do normally have, you can do something better than what they offer. I find those are the best ways to actually get the, you know, to make sure you're spending the right time submitting to these companies. Okay. Nicholas, how many times do you suggest to take time to make music for libraries that you recommend? How many time do you suggest to take for make music? Okay. I think maybe English might be your second language. I'm having a hard time understanding this question. Only having 2 tracks. Maybe how much music should you have done before you submit? Well, I'll usually tell you guys that in each library. So I'll tell you if they have recommendations of they want 6 tracks completed, 10 tracks completed, or if they don't specify anything. If they don't specify anything, I'd say have at least 2 to 3 done. But the strongest way to make sure that you go ahead of the pack, and this is what I'm giving you guys, becoming part of the Sync Edge program, right? You're getting the edge in the competition. Have a full album done. If you have 10 track, I know it's a lot. I know I'm asking for you guys to, sort of sacrifice a lot of time and put in some effort and get a whole album done. But if you can spend the time and the energy and the patience to do that, and you come to a library and you say, this is 10 tracks, 12 tracks, done, completed in one genre, and you can have it exclusively tomorrow in your catalog if you want, it's really hard to say no to that, especially if you have high quality music. If you have 2 or 3 tracks, they have to kind of hold your hand and walk you through it and all that good stuff. So I would say if you really want to be leaps and bounds beyond probably even other people here in the Edge, have a full album ready to go. I really do think that's the strongest way to do it. But if you do want to submit, at least have 2 to 3. I mean, that's the only way that you're going to get it. You can't have 1 track, or a demo idea or something like that. You got to have 2 or 3, at least something for them to be worth for them to even put together some paperwork for you. Have a couple of tracks, basically like an EP, like a little demo. Michael Jones. I assume some go and shop and pick, while I guess others pitch this suggest. Can you offer insight on how tracks are chosen? Yeah, I kind of talked about that before, that sometimes the client will go through and try to find the track that they feel is appropriate. And that's why I always say create attention-grabbing intros on your tracks, because if they're going to go through 100 different songs and they just hit play, they're going to want to basically have their attention grabbed within a couple of seconds. If you have this kind of slow fading intro that's not that interesting, they just go next, next, next. And they just hit the down arrow. So have something in the very beginning, dun, 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 really loud, or a drum fill or a glitchy, cool sound, something that when you click play, it's like, whoa, that's interesting. Because it doesn't matter whether or not the track is going to get selected. The only way your track could potentially get selected is if somebody listens past 2 seconds of it, right? That's why you need to have those attention-grabbing intros. That's one of those things that's going to really help you stand out in their catalog. Kevin asks, my opinion on non-exclusive. Oops, I went too far down. Let's see. Where are we at? They are getting harder to find, so my music could be held up an exclusive deal, and only time will tell. If those perform poorly, can I get them back? So non-exclusive libraries, yes, there are less and less of them now because they got into trouble by selecting and collecting all the same music. So all the non-exclusive libraries were like offering the same music to different clients, and these clients were like, you have the same music as that non-exclusive one. Why would I sign with you as opposed to them? So all these non-exclusive libraries realize we got to start getting exclusive. We can't be having the same music. So that phase is basically coming to a close now. I had my music in a non-exclusive library for many years. They turned exclusive, but for those years that they were non-exclusive, I was getting great, awesome placement. So it doesn't mean you can't get placements with them, but I do think that you're going to find these days more and more turning exclusive. And in terms of your other question, which was, if you have your music tied up in an exclusive deal and they're not doing much, can you get them back? Sometimes. So you got to look at your contract that you signed. Some libraries now I'm finding are giving you either a 2 or more likely a 3-year, they call it a 36-month clause, where you can actually take any music that has not been licensed at all after 36 months of being held by the library. So if they have 12-year tracks and 2 of them get placed in 3 years, but the other 10 don't, you probably need to send them like a little notice 30 days beforehand and say, hey, I'm taking these 10 tracks back out because as per our agreement, you haven't gotten any placements there with these 10 tracks, so I can take those back. Some of them, though, you sign in perpetuity, meaning that it's gone. Your tracks are exclusively with that catalog forever. That's why I do recommend you probably work with 2, maybe 3 libraries if you can handle a workload, and measure them against each other and find out which one's actually getting you the best placements, the most amount of money in your royalties. And whatever one's working better, stick with them. How would you suggest approaching a library about taking on custom gigs? So if you are with a library already accepted, you just need to let them know that you're available for that. That's really all you can do. You can just say, if you guys ever get custom gigs for advertisements, for promos, for ad agencies, anything like that, just let them know that you're hungry, willing to work. No project's too small for you. You're ready to be their guy. Just let them know that you're available for that. That's basically what you can do. Most of the time, if they think that you're hungry and you're showing a lot of sort of go-getter kind of a thing, and they do have custom cues, they're going to come at you. They're going to offer them to you. They're going to say, hey, you want to take a shot at this? Every library that I work with, they usually give you a sort of a trial custom gig within a couple of months of getting signed with them. And they'll say, hey, would this be something you're interested in? And they kind of throw it to you. You might not be an inner circle guy yet, but that's what that first gig is for. That's why you want to over deliver and deliver ahead of time. So if they say, hey, get us 2 cues, for this custom gig we're doing, give them 4. and give them a day early, right? Over deliver, send it to them before their deadline so that they know, damn, like this guy completely knocked it out of the park for us, so that when the next time they have a custom cue, even if you don't get it, okay, it's not about getting the gig. It's really not what it's about. It's about just showing them you're their go-to guy when it comes to that genre or whatever the project is, okay? Brian says foreign payments are very cryptic. Absolutely. They are very, very cryptic. A good subject line to use in emailing libraries, I would say if you have an album, you would say 10, let's say they're EDM tracks, whatever, 10 EDM tracks immediately available for exclusive licensing or something to that effect. You need to let them know this is what I'm offering you. It's not about you. It's not about, you know, awesomely talented producer wanting to work with you. Who cares? They want music, right? That's what they're in the business of doing, is collecting music. So if your subject line is giving them a taste of what they're going to get if they open that email, that's what's going to get their attention. Okay. So just let them know, what is it that you are shopping to them? Is it an album? Is it 2 or 3 songs? Whatever it is, the genre. And then is it available to be exclusively licensed? There you go. The only exception for that is if the library has specific requirements and they say in the subject line, put X, Y, and Z. Obviously follow their instructions above and beyond what I'm saying. So the Beat Freaks, glad you're here too, man. Let's see. Dan Mack, how many libraries do you work for active? I think you meant like actively, like right now. I'm basically in 2 different companies that I'm regularly submitting to. Sometimes I have a 3rd and a 4th that will, every couple of months, they come and ask for something, but they're not my regular submissions. I have basically, it's more of a direct feed to a private library that is working with a couple of different productions. So that's basically what I'm doing now for the most part. And there's a second library that I'm working with for years that they're always looking for new music for their projects and custom gigs. So I have those 2 that I basically are regularly submitting to on a weekly basis. But I also have music supervisors, ad agency people. I have people that I've worked with for a long time that they're not maybe like every week giving me a call, but like, you know, once a quarter, maybe once every 6 months, they hit me up with some sort of an opportunity. So I like to keep all of those doors open because, you know, you never know. Sometimes those are pretty awesome, very lucrative deals that come through. But really, I'm on 2 primary outlets that I get my music distributed at the moment. Martin's asking, Spotify made announcements of direct uploads, building EPs or LPs of my music that would be good for submissions of specific music to libraries, or waste of time. I don't know. I mean, putting your music on Spotify is a very public place to put it. I wouldn't do that unless you want to actually sell or stream your music and get it out there. I would say just get your own website, build the Wix website. The tutorial is in the membership area. And if you're watching this on playback, it's just one of the buttons down over here. Build your own website, or I mean, I guess you could use SoundCloud or a playlist like that. But yeah, going to Spotify, I would say, is kind of the wrong move, because that's showing them, hey, this is all publicly and it's out there. And, you know, sometimes they don't want that. They want it to be privately, exclusively held in their catalog. So I wouldn't say that's the best way to present yourself. Pelican Kiss, I recently had a song licensed for a major department store advertisement. Are there any websites or tools to find finished advertisements that have used your work? You can do TuneSat, Tunesat. I think that's what it's called. Hold on. TuneSat? I think that's... Yeah, tunesat.com. They will be tracking music. Now, the problem is if it's already aired, you might be a little too late. But you can upload your track that you have there, and then it has these sort of robots that go out and listen to broadcast TV, cable TV, and it gives you reports when it notices that your track has been broadcasted. It doesn't catch everything, I'll be honest. I've used it. It catches a couple of things, and then my royalty check shows up, and I have, you know, dozens and dozens of hundreds of placements, thousands of placements that it didn't catch. So I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but it can be great and motivating for you to see, like, hey, it caught this placement. This is really cool. I do it sometimes before our syndicate syncs, so that I actually show the guys, hey, your tracks are actually getting out there. You're actually getting placed. So check this stuff out. So it's just more of a motivating thing. But again, it's not a perfect system, and a lot of stuff will slip through the cracks. All right. Let's see. Rice Beats. How long do you suggest working with music libraries until you're able to start approaching creatives by yourself and be taken seriously, allowing you to collect your own publishing? You can start approaching creatives by yourself anytime you'd like to. I have not had much success doing that in my career. But if you feel that your tracks are ready to go and you've got a good way to pitch yourself to an ad agency or a publishing company or somebody who wants to, build their own library catalog, go for it. 1000%. Take your edge. Go for it. Take advantage of something like that. I have just found that the path of least resistance is going to a company or an organization that's looking for writers, and that's what music libraries are. Agencies, creatives, they're not always looking to sign or bring on board creative people or musicians or producers. A lot of times they just want to go to one catalog or one library that has thousands, tens of thousands of songs so that they can just get whatever they want, whenever they want it. And they don't have to individually, negotiate with contracts with all these different writers that they're bringing on board, right? So I've just found that most people want to go work with a library if they're involved in that side of the business. So your path of least resistance is going to get signed with a library, right? Because it's like the whole system is structured to make it really easy for everybody involved there. It is, Ryan. All right. I figured, man. Divan or Divan, do you have any ideas about creating attention-grabbing intros when doing minimal tension or builds, or with those cues, does it matter? Yeah, you could still do attention-grabbing intros. So like I said, you could do those stabs. If it's just minimal, then to have some really epic drum hits, maybe have like a drum and a pulsing bass kind of a sound, or really crazy, like, riser, like a sound effect riser, like a cinematic thing. I mean, get creative with how you do it, but it's something that just is sort of, pay attention to me. I'm going to take you on a really cool ride here with this track, right? That's what you need to have. It needs to be a big, big billboard that's going to grab the attention of somebody listening to it. So just make it interesting. That's really the important thing. Slow fade-ins are probably going to get rejected anyways, but slow fade-ins, they're not that interesting. Nobody wants to hear a slow fade-in, or just something that's just kind of meandering, like long pads, something like that. It's not interesting. It's not going to grab you. What grabs you is somebody knocking on the door. Imagine when you're at your house and you just get this really loud knock at the door. And let's say you have a dog. I mean, your dog starts barking, your attention, you go on attention. So that's what I mean. Like something like that will just get somebody interested in going, what's going to happen next? That's all you need. And you don't think that's much? That is so much of your success in this business. Somebody going, that's interesting. What happens next? Because that's what leads to a placement, right? No problem, Nicholas, for your English. Yeah, hopefully I understood your question there, man. Sometimes I try to do my best to interpret it. So, stock music musician, Evan, what's up, buddy? When it comes to making a website and providing demos, do you watermark them? Is it okay to use songs sold exclusively to someone else for a general demo? If you're going to use music you've gotten exclusively tied somewhere else, always go ask them. Transparency is always the best policy. Don't just assume, I'm just showing off a little bit of it. They won't mind. If it's a problem, you're jeopardizing your relationship with them, and that will screw your career. So always ask them first. Watermarking, you can. It's not really one of those things where you have to. If you're putting out your full demo to somebody, I would say it's probably a smart idea if you have like the full track, right? Maybe you put like your audio tag on it with your name or something like that. Or if you want to just put like sort of a demo, a 60-second demo that has 20 seconds of each song, you're less likely that somebody's going to want to take that. But again, these songs should be held on either your website or a private link or something where it's not available immediately to be stolen or taken by somebody publicly. Usually, music libraries are not in the business of taking music without authorization, are trying to sneak some music into their catalog because they know the minute they get popped, they're out of business. They're going to have lawsuits, and they know it's not worth the risk. So it's not a big thing that happens in this business. The worst thing I've ever heard of happening is a producer stealing somebody else's tracks, or actually it was a rapper who said that he produced these tracks that he actually didn't, and then tried to get credit for them. So I've heard of that kind of stuff happening. I've actually not heard of libraries blatantly just taking music that they didn't pay for or get under contract at least into their catalog. So it's really on you. I mean, if that's something you want to do, just take that extra bit of protection, go for it. Where are we at here? Ryan, another question. If you're a part of a music library that uses source audio, are you able to be found through the source audio website in addition to the music library's website through the search engine? Good question, because I know that when you sign up with Source Audio as a library, they give you sort of this, we will make your music available to people looking for music. So I would say yes, it sounds like that's exactly what they're doing, but I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't say that that's a path to success, because who knows how much exposure you're actually getting, and who knows how much of your catalog gets exposed to all these other clients that Source Audio is trying to go for. So I would say yes, but it wouldn't be like a business strategy. I would rely upon. I would really more rely upon getting in great with a music library who's directly pitching to their clients, because those clients are the ones that are going to directly get their source audio profile with all their music, right? My question was about, once you do recommend a library, how many times do you recommend us to record those 10 songs? Oh, how long will it take to record those 10 songs? I mean, well, as soon as possible. Like I said, you should be able to knock out a full album in 6 weeks. I mean, I would say even actually in a month, you should be able to do that. That's if you're doing what I recommend. You knock out 2 to 3 tracks a week, even if it's just 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 8 in a month. You know, another 2 weeks, you're at 10 no matter what, or actually at 12. If you can get up to 3 tracks a week, even better. So upping the amount of music that you're producing per week is the way to be able to do that. So sooner the better. You know, basically there's no race in this, but I would say don't be a total perfectionist where you're like, well, I'm going to spend this whole year perfecting my 10 songs. I mean, that you just can't, you're not going to be able to make this full-time income. I can just tell you that right now. If you're taking a full year or even 6 months to produce one album, you know, it'll take you 20, 30 years to finally get some decent income. And by then the whole industry will have changed. Who knows what kind of a world we'll be living in then. So you do need to just up the amount of music that you're producing if you want to get competitive in this industry. So Ryan, going back to the source audio, for example, if a user goes to source audio and searches for epic instrumental to my track, will my track be listed among many other music libraries? Again, I'm not really sure. You can test that out right now, and you can just go to their website and search for some music and see which tracks come up and how many different libraries are being represented from that. So I'm not really sure, how much of that exposure you're going to be getting from doing that. But again, it wouldn't be what I would rely upon, because source audio doesn't owe you anything. You're not going to have a direct relationship with source audio to want to promote you as a writer or as a producer, right? What do they really care? They have lots of clients. They have lots of different people. But a library who signs you, they should give you that sort of phone call, that personal touch, and they're going to want to actually bring you on board as a team member. They want to keep you there, right? That's who you need to be getting in with. Martin, having issues with Wix, hence the question as alternatives of way. Oh, okay. Yeah. And if you guys are having any, I get these emails all the time, you know, tech issues, problems creating a Wix site. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not tech support at Wix, so I can't really help you guys out with those kind of issues. Could be your browser, could be your computer, could be a lot of things. So please always reach out to Wix for their technical support. My tutorial is just meant to help guide you through the process. If you run into hiccups at that point, you need to reach out to their tech support. I don't have the resources to be able to help you guys out with their tech support issues. It's their website, their platform, and they probably have certain ways that they need to make sure that you're doing things the right way, or how they can help correct that for you. So TuneSat, it's TUNESAT.com. You can just look that up. Yeah, not stat, TUNESAT, as in the SAT test you guys all took. Just Mac asked, for the libraries that I have relationships with, do you send tracks as soon as they are finished, or do you have several, send them in bulk? For my relationships, basically what they do is they say, we need 5 tracks like this. And then I wait until I have 5 tracks and I send those tracks in. And so what I'm doing these days, I'm sending directly usually to TV shows. We did a bunch for Dual Survivor last year. We've done, like so many of these shows I've like never even heard of, but there's just tons of these cable shows, you know, new reality shows, just crazy stuff. Hollywood Medium was one we did a lot for. Long Island Medium, I think. There's like all these, it's just crazy how many different shows are out there. But usually they'll give me a brief. They'll say, we need to put together tracks for this show. Here's what they have. They want 5 more tracks like this. I put all 5 of them together, ship them out. That's basically what I do with the alt mixes and everything they need. Let's see. Paulino, glad to be here with you guys. If you license some tracks with a music library on exclusive basis, does that mean that you surely are to get that placements? No, nothing's guaranteed. Life is not guaranteed. So even if you get accepted by a library exclusively, that's great. That's the first step, but that's not guaranteeing you that they have to now go get your music placed. Even that's really out of their control. The people who control what music gets placed are the people who are buying the music, right? These are music supervisors or directors or ad agencies, people who actually have the money and they need the music for their current production. They get to decide and they guarantee who gets the placement, okay? All you can do is make sure that your tracks are better on par with what a current catalog and a library has. That's why those videos that I put out there are for you guys to make sure you have the best chances of getting those placements. So as long as you're delivering high quality and consistently and you're hungry and showing up, yeah, you can stack up your odds fairly well and almost be guaranteed you're going to get something. But what was the other part of your question? What are the odds? I don't know. Again, you do high quality music, you submit relevant music, more than 50% chances you're getting placements. I'll give you that. Okay. But again, I got to be careful with what I tell you guys. I cannot just say, if you get accepted, you're guaranteed to get placements. And then you're guaranteed. I can't tell that, guys. I am not in control. I love it. If I could be in that control and that power, I'd give you guys all placements. I'd give you guys all royalties. That's not my power. That's not my business. That's not what I do. I educate you guys for how I was able to do it and how I stacked up the odds in my favor. So that's the best that I can possibly provide for you guys, is that education. And then it's up to you to do that hard work, to follow through, and to stack up your odds of success. And you absolutely can do it. But again, just remember, there's no guarantees in anything. He who works the hardest and has the most persistence and patience in this business will win in the long run, okay? Nicholas, do you speak or do you know what supervisor or library think about the syndicate and your recommendations to us? Are they waiting for your recommendations? They speak with you and somehow. I've heard from a few libraries. Actually, I've gotten a couple of compliments from libraries, and they actually have thanked me for what I do, because they say, Jesse, we need more people out there like you, because most people are sending us garbage. They're sending us dumb emails, spamming emails, wrong music, unlicensable music, and it bogs us down with basically unsolicited submissions. And that's why a lot of these libraries start to close their window for who they accept in or for their submission process, right? The fact that I'm helping the producer community at large get smarter about this stuff and up their game and how they're approaching libraries and up their music skills and understanding of the business makes libraries' lives 1,000 times easier. So I have gotten nothing but praises from them. I've never gotten one, I don't like what you're doing. I've never gotten any negative feedback from anybody in this business. In fact, one of the libraries that we partnered with in the syndicate early on found me because of my YouTube channel and what I was doing. And he actually said, dude, this is what the licensing business has needed for a long time. We have a catalog, we have a library. We want to work with you because we know you're training your producers in a smart way, and we want to work with people who have gone through your training. So music libraries usually see what I'm doing and realize this is a winning strategy, because not only are you going to get well-trained, educated, you know, basically just up-to-date producers that know what the hell is going on in this business, but they're going to be producing music the right way. They're going to have the right attitude. Man, that attitude issue is such a big thing, because producers just think the world owes them. They think because they have some talent that like everything is, they deserve everything. You don't deserve anything in life. And I basically help smash that out of you guys, right? So I try to really just shift your mindset in a place of just be more service mindset, be more humbled, be more willing to do what your clients need. And you will be rewarded for that humility and for that service with money, with placements, with opportunities. That's really how success happens. You have to bring yourself down, though. You got to get out of your sort of egotistical point of view to be able to see that kind of success. So no, I've gotten nothing but positive feedback from everybody in this business. Chase is asking, are sync fees and consideration fees two different things? Yes. Are sync fees the money given from the client to the music library to split between the writer and publisher? Yes, that's correct. That's exactly what a sync fee is. Consideration fee is usually what is given by an exclusive library to say, we would like to have your music considered and included in our catalog. So here is a small amount of money to say thank you for that exclusive access to your music. Not every library does it. In the past, more libraries did it than not. These days, it seems like most of them aren't doing it, which I think is regrettable. I don't like that. I definitely pay in a syndicate because I think you guys work. I know that you guys put in work, and I know that when I first got started, it was work to put in that kind of thing, and to just only go for those back-end royalties. I mean, those royalties are really where the bread and butter is, but I know that, hey, I got bills this month though. It would help me out with some of my, you know, utility bills or grocery bills or just something, right? Because I'm putting in work for you guys. I think you should be paying people for the exclusive music. Non-exclusive, yeah, I don't think so, because you can put your music anywhere else. It's not as valuable, but exclusive, there's a premium on that. That's why I pay. That's why the other catalog or the other library owner in the syndicate also pays. We value people for their music and what they do. You're not going to be getting rich off of consideration fees. Usually it's $50, $100 a track. Sometimes it could be more, $300, $500 a track. So you can, pay some significant bills, but it's not going to be your sort of primary bread and butter in this business. So even if you don't get accepted or you don't get offered those when you get accepted by exclusive library, doesn't mean that it's a bad library or that they're screwing you over or something like that. It's always been optional. It's always been something that people have just sort of given. It's kind of a competitive thing to make sure that people keep submitting to you, because if you give them a little bit of that upfront money, they know, hey, I want to get that, you know, $200 real quick this month. I better send my music to this library. They know that, and that's why they offer that. If you get approached and they don't have it, they don't offer it, you can always ask them, do you guys, you know, let's say they don't mention it. You can always say, like, do you guys offer consideration fees? And if they say, no, we don't. All right, well, you've asked, and now you have to decide, are you going to continue to submit to them? And you still think there's going to be some good possibility for those sync fees, which again, yes, is different, and those royalties down the road. Ryan's asking, what percentage of the tracks that you have personally gotten accepted to libraries typically give you an upfront fee? Also, do you like to work with non-exclusive libraries or just exclusive ones? I talked about that non-exclusive thing earlier in the video, Ryan, so you can check that out. But what percentage of tracks that you have personally gotten accepted to libraries typically give you an upfront fee? Upfront, do you mean consideration fee? I used to get a lot more of those actually in previous years. These days, I don't get many of them, just because mostly what I'm working on is going directly to a TV show. So to me, it's like, save your money. I would rather get the back end royalties, because these opportunities that I'm getting these days are going, I know, guaranteed, are going directly to TV shows. So that's a little bit different than submitting to a library, which is probably the stage that most of you guys are at. Trust me, it's okay. You'll get there. You'll start developing relationships. You will build a really powerful name for yourself, and you'll start to get those sort of inside opportunities where they'll ask you, hey, we've got this TV show or this commercial, send us your music. So these days I just say, no, save it. Like, I just want to keep, and they're not really offered anyways, but it doesn't really bother me, because I know if it's going directly to this TV show, and it could potentially go to other TV shows because this library gets shopped with all of their clients, I'm good to go. I know that in the long run, it's a long run game and long-term play, that in a year down the road, 6 to 9 months, I'm going to see those royalties. So, but I used to, back in the day, every single track, pretty much every one, because I was working mostly with 2 exclusive libraries, and each one of them was paying me. First, the first one started me at 50. I think I made it up to about 100, might have been 125 per track on one of them. So it got up there pretty good, and I was submitting quite a few albums per year. But eventually, so a lot of these libraries, they just, you know, stopped offering that and just kind of was done. So it's like, okay, this is where the new industry is going. So just one of those things you got to deal with. Let's see, Brian, for all you new producers out there, the best thing I ever did was stop pitching 1 to 2 tracks and start pitching 10-track projects. There you go. And Brian got accepted with his submission. So listen to wisdom right there. Publishers take you way more seriously than when you give them quantity. So there you go, as I've said, and Brian's confirming here right now. It's my cat in the background right there. His name's Wedo. Let's see. Martin's asking, AFs versus Wave, too much blah, blah, blah about it. Can you simplify why one uses one or the other? No, because I don't really care about the differences between those two. All I care about is, what does the library want? If they say they want AIF, I will give them AIF. If they say they want Wave, I will give them Wave. That's as far as I care about the differences between those two. I know that, like, I think AIF, I think Apple developed that, and Wave, I don't know, was it Microsoft? I don't know. I know there are different origins to those, but I'm not an audiophile. I couldn't tell you the history of those or why they are different. Gotcha. Yeah, you're just getting frustrated with Wix, and I understand that. So definitely just reach out to them. Be patient. They have email support. I think they have a live chat as well if you catch them at right hours. And they probably have a phone number, especially if you're a paying customer. Get on the phone with them. They should be able to help you out with whatever your issues are. Ryan's asking, when they send you briefs, are you typically receiving money up front for completing the tracks, or do you just receive money on the back end between sync fees and royalties? Yeah, mostly just for when it's like a TV show like that, I'll just get the royalties. If it's a custom queue, yeah, they'll offer a sync fee. It could be a nice $3,000, $5,000 sometimes. I mean, right now in the syndicate, we have an over $10,000 upfront sync fee opportunity going on right now. We've already pitched to it. We're kind of waiting back to see if we get it. So there's major sync fees that get offered in this business. And some of them will offer those demo fees. Demo fees are basically like, hey, if we consider your track along the others, we'll still hand you, you know, a couple $100 just to say thanks for it. Not always, but it does happen sometimes. I'll be offered those demo fees. Most of the time, not though. It's just sort of, hey, here's the big sync fee. Here's the back end situation. Would you like to submit to it? So that's usually what I get offered, and I just decide, is it worth it? And 99% of the time, it is, because it's usually, for me, it's like there's no gig too small for me. I like to just work. So. All right. Roberto, do you get by with music licensing? Or are you actually living better than people with jobs? That's a really interesting question, because I like to live very minimally anyways. So, but I would say that I feel very secure and comfortable with my income, with my royalties and my sync fees and all that stuff that I do. So, it also depends on where you live. I live outside of LA. I do not live in the thick of LA. If I lived in the thick of LA, I'd probably feel like more like I was just keeping my head above water because, it's really expensive to live there. So the big cities, you have a much higher threshold to make before you feel like, all right, I'm good. So I'm living in a much more lower cost of living than probably the bigger cities are dealing with. So, but I feel good. I mean, I have savings. I don't plan on ever retiring, but I do have investments and I have other things. So it's definitely not a month to month, like, oh my gosh, am I going to get my bills paid? So I have long left that behind. I think 4 or 5 years ago, I started feeling much more confident about it. It took a few years before I was like, is this going to work out? Is this money going to keep growing? And after a while, once you start seeing the growth over and over again, you start to feel, okay, I'm good to go. I can kind of rest easy not rest easy and stop working, but rest easy that those royalties are going to keep coming in. So, Martin's asking about the libraries list. Is it searchable by using Adobe tools? I don't think so. I don't think I even have a lot. Some of them will list something about their genre, but not all of them. So I don't think you're going to be able to do that with it. Kenneth is, let's see. I don't know if this is a question. I can write tracks in a few days, but I never seem to mix and master to my satisfaction, matching to the reference track. How long should I continue to try to match to the reference track? Got to keep practicing, man. I mean, you should be, I usually mix within like 2 to 3 hours at the most, but that's because I've mixed so many tracks in my career that I do it really, really fast. So if it's really difficult, it's really hard. I understand that, but keep practicing, keep going for it. As time goes on, you'll start to have some presets. You'll have some sort of go-to ways that you do your mixing that should cut down on the time that it takes for you to actually get it done. But I would say you shouldn't be spending more than like a day mixing and mastering a track. It should be done within a few hours. I'd say 5, 6 hours for you where you are right now, but you should cut that down significantly. Usually your track should sound pretty damn good before you even start mixing and mastering. So if your track sounds pretty bad, not even close to the reference track, and then you start the mixing and mastering process, you've probably started the mixing and mastering process too quickly. Go back to producing. You should use either better samples or mess with your rough mix a little bit more, different plugins, different instruments, right? Your rough mix should sound pretty damn good. Mixing and mastering is not a miracle. It's just a finishing, polishing kind of a process. All right. Kevin, I'm up to completing 2 tracks per week to 4 per week. Wow, but it's a struggle. Any suggestions or ideas, writer's block to keep up writing productivity? That's awesome, Kevin. I mean, you've just doubled your productivity. I don't know what you need tips from me, man. That's really good. I do recommend, I always just go to YouTube. I mean, if I'm just kind of feeling like, I don't really feel like making much, I go watch a music video. I go watch my favorite band work in the studio, go listen to, a really accomplished producer or a mixing engineer talk about working on music. Just surrounding yourself with people that make music or watching them make music, for me, always gets me going. Exercise, eat right, sleep well. You got to take care of your health though, right? So those are the fundamentals for sure. If you're feeling like crap and you have low energy, check those 3 things for sure. Make sure that you are getting some vegetables in your diet, that you're actually going and lifting weights and doing something strenuous, getting some sunshine, walking, right? That kind of thing. And sleep. Get some really good quality sleep every night. Try to do your best to get some good consistent sleep. Go to bed every night. Wake up every morning the same time. I would say that those are the things that'll help you with your productivity and your energy as time goes on. So. The current movie trailer style is cover tunes. Will you share some ideas on copyright issues? So cover tunes are interesting. I have not done much or any of those kind of opportunities. The one time that I was asked to do cover tunes was to do like karaoke versions of popular songs. And we were given clearances from the library, and they already had those clears with the original publishers. And so we were sort of like held harmless against any sort of lawsuits in the future. So anytime I've been asked to do anything close to covering a song, I want to say, where's the clearance? What have you cleared already from the original publisher? Because at the end of the day, if you submit a cover song and it gets placed and it hasn't been cleared by the original songwriter or publisher, guess who gets busted? It's not the publisher. It's you. You're the one that wrote it. So I'm really touchy on cover tunes. I know they obviously get placed and they're out there, but usually if you're going to be asked to do something like that, somebody say, hey, we need a trailer song for this opportunity, but we want it to be a cover version of this old 1950 song. Ask them, where's the clearance? Did you guys get clearance on this to be able to do this, to be able to get this published? That's what I would say first and foremost, to just protect yourself. What is a typical RMS level or LUFS number for libraries? I personally go for -10 RMS. I think somebody else was asking me that question via email just this week. So I go for a minimum of -10. Sometimes it goes up to -8, a little bit higher. But each library is a little bit different. But I'd say if you're around that -12, -10 level for RMS, that's what I use. It's the multimeter and Logic Pro 10. That's what I use usually on all my mixes, just to make sure that I'm at a competitive level. That's that sort of modern radio loud level that you're going to find that most libraries are going to be cool with, and you're going to be standing out. You can go louder, but just be careful with that clipping. It's better to be a little quieter and avoid the clipping than to just blast out the speakers and have all these, just cut off sound waves all over the place in your mix. So just be careful of that. I heard the cheap end of the music library market is saturated. The high end is very hard to get into. What do you consider the high end? Well, some of the libraries actually in the SyncEdge recommendation area are the high end. And so you guys can check those out. And I tell you, like basically from the first minute of the video, this is for high quality producers. They have major, you can see actually from the placements, they have major placements going on, major movies, trailers, that kind of thing. So you can check those out. Some of those are actually included in the membership area right now. But there's a lot of different, when you say high end, I mean, what do you mean? Like the most amount of money or the biggest amount of placements? I mean, high end in terms of what are you talking about? You obviously have the major ones, but those ones are really almost impossible to get into because they want to deal with other catalogs. They don't want to deal directly with writers. So like Mega Tracks, Killer Tracks, Extreme Music. There's some big heavyweights that are sort of gobbling up a bunch of different other catalogs. But usually you can't get directly into those because they don't sign writers directly. They sign catalogs. So you have to get in with a catalog and then you can get in. I have one library in the SyncEdge membership where I show you guys how to do that. I think it's the vocal indie one that I did. So you guys can check that out. Pin is asking, can you give us an example of where music library music at its best today can be heard? I usually go to Extreme Music's website. I don't know why. I think I just like the way their website is laid out. extrememusic.com. I think that's what it is. And they have every genre, every style. They have really high quality stuff, great artwork, all that kind of stuff. Again, you're not going to be able to get accepted by them. They're going to be taking only catalog submissions. They're not going to be taking writers on. But I usually use them if I'm like, hey, what does this kind of music sound like these days? I usually check them out. So I would go to them, kind of see what's going on there. But any library that I recommend, you can go check out and see what's going on there. So, how would you feel about putting limiters on individual tracks? When would you do it, and by how many dB? I don't ever do that. Stock music musician. I don't really do that, Evan. So couldn't give you advice on that one. I just do a sort of master adaptive limiter on my master bus. So I don't really limit my individual tracks. It's just not my process. Martin's saying my vocals are phasing a bit. It might be just the way my computer. Hold on a second.